And today we're gonna talk about pages, because this time it's gonna be pages 16 all the way to 34. 16 to 34. It's Masterpiece by Elias Broach, and this is a really amazing book. I just really enjoyed this amazing creative book by this author. She has also made a book called Shakespeare's Secret and many other books. You can even check out her website, and it's really cool. Just type in ElijahBroach.com and you're gonna see it. You just press enter and there it is. I really like that. So you can check that out. You can check whatever you want out about this amazing book, and you can also check out the main painter that we're gonna talk about soon, okay? Okay, let's go on with page 16. Now, do you think that clowns are distrustful and untrustworthy and scary? Because Marvin thinks that. And also, do you think that the magician is also going to be fun or not? I don't think so. And besides, yeah, I don't like clowns. They are loud. They strike like funny, like like these kinds of faces. Like I don't know what clowns do. Now, do you think that Mrs. Pompadey, what do you think is one fault that she should maybe try to fix? She doesn't even consult James about anything before she's just doing this. She didn't consult James to have a magician and a magician, right? And also, she didn't ask him if he wanted a birthday party in the first place. Like for example, I don't want to for a birthday party. I like small, just parties, like small parties, not like big, huge parties. Actually, I just do like a family party, Okay. Now, do you ever sneak in to watch something? It can be anything, like the Beatles. They sneaked in and watched television. Now, have you ever done that? And also, how do you learn about how do you learn stuff? Because the Beatles, they learn stuff from the television. Because the Mrs. Pompadey's, they watch a lot of lots of things, Mrs. Pompadey's, hospital dramas, soap operas, Mr. Pompadey, long documentaries, James cartoons, and stuff like that, right? So it's like endless TV watching, which in my opinion, I don't like, because if one person watches the TV, you can't happily read while somebody's watching on TV, so you're gonna be involved in it too, and that's gonna be just miserable, or else you can't focus. After that, it's just gonna be too addicting, and then that's a whole problem about everything. Now here's another question. Do you think that James, Mrs. Pompadey, not Mrs. Pompadey, but do you think that James is going to have a good time at his birthday or not? Quick prediction. Now, there was also, and then we begin to talk about James' dad, right? We haven't heard about him a lot before, but now we see him. Well, we don't see him right now, but still, it seems like James likes his father more than, his other parents. And soon we're gonna see why, okay? Now, so there's a painting called Horse, right? That James' father made. And then Mr. Pompadour says something. It says, "I don't see why I have to look at that every night," Mr. Pompadour would complain. "It doesn't look anything like a horse. It doesn't even look like an animal. James could have painted that." Mrs. Pompadour's answer was always the same. "Oh, stop. It goes with the rug. Do you know how hard it is to match an Oriental?" Now, so even if it didn't look like a horse, why do you think that maybe it was a horse? Why do you think it was called a horse? It actually tells you the answer, right? Because horses, does it only have to look like a horse? Is that the only thing that you have to focus on? Make it look like a horse? Is that it? No, you have to add lots of other factors in to really make something beautiful. And here's another question. Do you think that James, what do you think that his father, because it's their birthday, what do you think his father as a treat is going to do for James? Think about it. Remember, he's a painter. So there you can think about a few things. And besides, this book is called Masterpiece Inc. Masterpiece, does this mean masterpiece, when you think about it, it's mostly masterpiece would be a masterpiece of art, right? So, and because he is a painter, and ink is at times used for painting. I mean, not painting, but just drawing, right? Do you think that has something to do, that his father has something to do with all this? What do you think? This is exciting. Let's keep on going. So, if you had been the Beatles, what would you have wanted to give James for his breakfast? I mean, not for his breakfast. I don't know why I said for his breakfast. I mean, for his birthday. I guess it's probably because they both start with B's. Oh my God. Maybe it was because I was actually thinking about breakfast. And besides, it was breakfast time. Look at this. At the beginning of the chapter, it was breakfast time. So I was thinking like that in my defense. Besides, they both start with B. Okay? Now, would you call the treasure box a treasure box? I'm gonna list out everything. One velvet earring case. Okay, actually, no, that's actually the treasure box itself. And that actually, it's right now in the Beatles' house, right? The treasure box. And I don't think in the map, does it show the treasure box? I think it does. I think this is it. Wait. Sorry, it's this, half of it, so I can't even look at it, and it's glued on because, and I just can't do it. But you see this? I think maybe this is the treasure box. I have no idea. I may be totally, completely wrong, but it sort of looks like a treasure box. But then again, I may be totally wrong. It may be somewhere else. But would you call the treasure box a treasure box? Here's all the things in there. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Few paper clips, two coins, a button, the gold clasp from a necklace, the cylinder silver bar, a small eraser, pen cap, single pearl earring. Do you think that in the end, this is really a treasure box or not? And think about it in the Beatles' perspective. Compare it to your perspective. Would it be a treasure box? For Beatles, definitely it will be a treasure box. For me, in a way, yeah. But I would have added some more good items. But it would be half-half to me. Like that pearl earring, gold clasp, silver slender bar, a silver bar. small eraser. I like erasers. I need an eraser. Coins. And it doesn't look bad, but still, I don't think I need a pen cap or a few paper clips. But after that, I think that they're pretty cool. I'll put like 3/4 of the way. I will call it treasure box. Yeah, I'm very exact. The Beatles happen to know. Oh, sorry. I was on the wrong page. I need to. Okay, here it is. Now, do you think that anything of this is really good for James' birthday present though? And what did you think about the fact that a Beatle, Marvin's uncle, was an electrician? What do you think? Do you think that he was a real good electrician or not? No offense to him, but he probably wasn't like that biggest, best electrician. But I don't know. Never underestimate the power of the Beatles. Maybe he's like a great mastermind at this, and maybe he's one of the most smartest electricians in the world, right? Who knows? Now, do you think that a buffalo nickel would be also cool? Definitely. I'm not a coin collector, but I'd like to collect a few things, so I think that a buffalo nickel will be pretty cool. Now, when you were at the worst, the party was a boisterous disaster. Well, were you already guessing that? I was just like, oh, I know something's gonna go wrong. And that sentence just sealed it. I was like, oh, here it is. It's gonna go all completely wrong. And it was. Okay, I'll just read the part about the party because I thought it was just so wild. I want to read it again. The party was a boisterous disaster. Mr. Pompadey was dispatched to the park with William, while 11 energetic boys, none of whom paid any particular attention to James, raced through the apartment. They dumped elaborately wrapped presents on the sideboard, then stampeded from room to room, whooping loudly. They broke a knob off the stereo. They spilled soda on the dining room rug. They locked a small, nervous boy named Simon in James' closet without anyone realizing he was missing. When the magician arrived, they gleefully tormented him, yelling out spoilers. "It's in his other hand! I saw it!" as he performed his tricks. One boy dug around in the leather bag of props when the magician wasn't watching and triumphantly brandished a set of handcuffs. "Let's play jail!" Marvin watched the whole affair from a safe vantage point behind the skirt of the living room couch. Sneakers pounded past him, squeaking on the wood floors. He kept warily out of sight, heeding Mama's warning. "Whatever you do, darling, don't let them see you. These are the kinds of boys who'd pull the legs off a beetle just for the fun of it." It was an oft-repeated adage among the Beatles that human parties were no place for their kind. Marvin remembered all too clearly the fate of his grandfather, who'd been crushed by a stiletto heel while pursuing a bacon bit during the Pompaday's Meet the Neighbors party. Now, I think that will be enough. But that gives us a really clear picture of the party, doesn't it? Now here's the questions. Did you think that Mrs. Pompadey really should have consulted James before all this? And if she had and James said no, do you think that would have been the better thing to do? Definitely. I mean, this is more than a boisterous disaster. Sorry, I didn't mean is, but I mean this is an atomic bomb explosion. Of course, if you have been James and you had seen this all unfold, how would you have felt? Now, what is one thing that really, if you had to choose one thing that really ticked you off, then what would you say ticked you off the most? Me? I really hated when they tormented the magician. I really didn't like that. I thought that was really unfair. And if you had been James, what would you have done with the whole thing? Number one, I would have cleaned everything up. I would have tried to make it seem normal. Number two, I would have herded those boys out. I would have said, well, it's my birthday party. Guys, if you don't sit down, I'm gonna scream. If they have listened to that, we can just watch the magician. And then we can play nicely. If they don't do that and they begin to bully me, that's when, well, it's my birthday. So they're gonna get kicked out of the house. Okay? I'm just gonna say, have a good time alone. Smash! The door closes. I think that would have been what I would have done, really. I do not like those kids at all. And then Carl comes, right? James's father. How did you think that he was going to be? Now, we have never actually learned him, really. So he might be bad, he might not be. But did you think that from how James was excited that he was going to be a nice guy? And he was. I said, at least he was a pretty good guy, right? Hey, buddy, he said to James, of course I came. It's your birthday. And look at this picture. I really like this, too. See, James is happy. This is Father. This is Mrs. Pompadey. Mrs. Pompadey doesn't look that happy, but James really does. And they actually hugged, too. And then, what did you think that the birthday present was going to be? I thought that it was going to be, like, painting paper or maybe a book about famous artists. And then James got a glass bottle filled with dark liquid that was ink and a pen and ink set, and there was also like for drawing. Now, is that what you want? Like, if you had to choose, what would be your birthday present? The thing is, I like ink enough, but the problem is, I make like a billion mistakes, and it'll be really annoying to wipe it. I couldn't really wipe it off. That's the problem with ink. And I already have something like that. I already paint like that. And here's the thing, I can actually paint on my computer. That's really cool. I can show you. I'm not going to show you right now, but yeah, I can paint on it and I can do it to ink setting and I can do it better than anything. It's really convenient. It's sort of like an iPad thingy and you can just draw on it and it's really fun. And so I don't really have any need for it because I can just do online drawings. Really what I want, like if somebody had asked me what I want, what I would have wanted is just a few books. A few awesome books, and that would have made me super duper happy. That's all I need to make me happy. That's all. But James wasn't that excited about it. But do you think that in the end he probably is? Maybe so, right? Because look, there's an ink set now. That is so cool. So that must play a very important part in the book. So even if James didn't like it, it did perform. It was pretty good, right? It was pretty good. So what do you think that they're going to be doing with this? Like, do you think that James is going to make a masterpiece? But why is Martin involved then? Marvin, not Martin. Marvin involved then. What do you think? And that is what we're going to find out, okay? Dun dun dun! And then and it did say it was permanent ink. So it would be pretty, you have to like draw really carefully or else you know what's gonna happen. We all know what's gonna happen. Something bad is going to happen, right? So now we are gonna finish this chapter. All in all, if you summarize it, that chapter of life for James if James could have rated that birthday party, and if you were James and you had to rate that birthday party, on a scale to 1 to 10, how would you have rated it? Me? Maybe, if I could have done it, I would have done -1, but nothing such less -1. I would have done 1, even though I think that it deserves a -10 plus. It could be -100. That would have made me real happy. Now, chapter 4, a present for James. So, now what do you think they're gonna talk about now? Which present? Okay, let's go. Now, do you think that the Buffalo nickel, right? Yeah, the Buffalo nickel is going to make James happier or not? Or do you think that he's just gonna be like, yeah, a Buffalo nickel, cool, let's go. How do you think that he's gonna feel about that? Now, did you ever think that going across an apartment is actually a dangerous thing? Have you ever actually thought that, or do you just think that it's really unrealistic? I have thought that before, especially at night. Well, not really. It's just it's a thing that I do every day. Like, I just like put my hands in pockets. I walk casually down the hall. I walk casually into the kitchen. I eat in my house. I can do anything I want. Well, not anything, but still. It's just so normal. But for a beetle, it wouldn't be, right? It would be so dangerous, not so normal. So if you think about this point of view, this difference in the point of view, why do you think that the author did it so that we get the point of view of Marvin and not the point of view of what was it of? Now I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, and not the point of view of James. Why do you think that it's like that? Oh, okay. So, do you think that Marvin is actually going to be okay, or do you think he's going to get spotted by James? Because that's going to be a big problem. Or do you think that even if he was spotted by James, it would be okay? And then, this is one of the most amazing parts. I think that it was just amazing, right? So Marvin put the nickel and he began to draw. He just dipped his two front legs in and he just began to draw. Did you think that was very realistic? And do you think that you could have drawn as well as him? And do you think that's a very good birthday present? That's definitely a very good birthday present. And I think that if I had been James, I would have really enjoyed it. Now, it isn't natural, which is why this isn't. I think it's like fiction fantasy or something. I wouldn't consider it like fantasy. I would just consider it fiction, but I think they did it as fantasy for some reason. Though I think of fantasy more as like a different world stuff, but this technically counts as fantasy, I guess. Now, so this painting is just so natural to Marvin. What do you think that this means about Marvin? It means that he's like a natural born painter in a way, right? And just drew, right? And what did you think about like he drew and I really like these words. I thought it was just amazing. It says, "The ink flows smoothly off his legs across the page. Though he'd never done anything like this before, it seemed completely natural, even unstoppable. He kept glancing up, tracing the details of the scene with his eyes and transferring them onto the paper. It was as if his legs had been waiting all their lives for this ink. This page, this lamp-lit window view. There was no way to describe the feeling. It thrilled Marvin to his very core. Now, use a few words to describe this feeling that Marvin is having. Have you ever had that feeling before? When I'm reading an amazing book, I have that feeling. When I'm writing something, I have that feeling. When I've just reached and when I'm looking down at Yosemite Valley, from Yosemite National Park, I have those kinds of feelings. It's just so amazing, breathtaking. It's like a mixture of emotions and feelings, so that you can't, to a word that you can't even describe them. And then when it was finished, it was breathtaking. It was perfect. It was finished, right? And actually, there is this small, wow, this is impressive. I have to say that's one of the most impressive art pieces I have ever seen in my life. And then Marvin walked up. Now, did you think that was going to be a bad idea or not? And if you had been James though, do you think that you would have believed it, or would you be like, okay, Jaden, you are still believing. You're still dreaming. And now I'm like, smacked myself in the face and been like, well, am I awake or not? And then like flung myself back into bed and then like done something, like pounded on my head or like pounded here or pinched myself or something. And then if the beetle still didn't go away, I would go back to sleep until Mrs. Pompadey came. My mother came. But James isn't like that. James actually is like, wow, right? And it's like, wow, this is amazing. And now, in the end, James, he's actually happy about it. He's like, that freaking ball! Smash! He isn't like that. He's really happy. It's like, wow. And in the end, did you think that everything worked out well and satisfactory, or would you have maybe planned it differently? What do you think? And then Mrs. Pompadey comes. Dun 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 dun! And we finish chapter 4. Okay, now this is exciting. Very exciting. Very, 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 very exciting. So this is a really exciting part, and I hope that you really enjoyed this, okay? This part of the book. We have actually read, let's see, wait, sorry. We have actually read like a pretty good part of the book. So we've read all the way from page 18 to 34. Talked about that. So that was a lot of parts, remember, okay? And because that was such a lot of things going on, I thought that it was pretty impressive that you got through that. And next time we're gonna just learn more about this and what happens to Marvin. I hope that you enjoy. Now, the few last questions. What was your favorite part in these pages, and what was your favorite part in the whole book so far? In these pages, I really liked when Marvin was just drawing. It was just amazing. Reading that it just felt amazing in my opinion. Now, in the whole book, that's too hard. I'll still think about it, and then if I think of an answer before the video ends, I'll tell you. Now, also, what did you think about the fact that Marvin was the one drawing? Did you like that fact, or would you have liked it more if James had drawn? Just a quick extra question I just wanted to ask. What was your favorite character and your least favorite character? My favorite character, James or Marvin? I'll choose James. But Marvin is number 2. Favorite character number 2. Almost along with James. And then, my least favorite character, we have met a few. I just hate those boys. You can just call those boys a character. But then again, I also don't like Mrs. Pompadey or Mr. Pompadey. So that's sort of like the group I don't like. You can do groups if you want. Like, I live in America, and even if you don't live in America, I think that you guys are all free in your minds, so you can do whatever you want. Now, my favorite question. I almost said my favorite book, but I didn't. My favorite question of the video. How did you like the book so far? You know what I'm going to say? It makes you review, think, and answer, and hopefully you're going to see that you love it. Okay? And if you don't, keep on reading because you might actually find a part you like. One time I hated a book, and then I didn't want to read it. I was like, oh my god. 10 seconds later, well, not 10 seconds, but a few minutes later, I was so intrigued. I was like leaning forward in my seat because leaning forward and like, what's gonna happen? Though it was just an audiobook. So that might happen, but hopefully you're liking this unique. I just can't get my words out today. Unique, amazing book. Predictions. Okay, I always advise you to make your own prediction questions, but first, let me just ask them all that I have made. How do you think that Mrs. Pompadie is going to act about this? Do you think that James' father is going to come back? Do you think that he's going to play a very important part in the book? How do you think that James' whole family is going to feel about... I mean, no, not James, but... Oh, yeah, James' whole family is going to feel about the whole thing. How do you think that Marvin's whole family is going to feel about Marvin going missing? Do you think that... What kinds of other adventures might happen? Do you think that Marvin, that's going to be the masterpiece of the story? Or do you think that there's going to be another masterpiece? Why didn't that the story was named Masterpiece? Do you think that Marvin is going to paint a masterpiece? Or do you think that's going to be do you think that that's going to be... do you think that Marvin is going to paint another masterpiece or not? What do you think that James is going to say? And finally, do you think that Marvin is going to become famous, or do you think this is going to be in secret? What do you think? All of those questions, you can answer them all. You can also slow down the video if I'm talking too fast. Right then I was like just zipping those questions out like really fast. Like hummingbirds. They can fly really fast. And I can shoot out questions almost as fast as that. Well, not that fast, but fast enough. I hope that you enjoyed today's section again. Have a great rest of your day or night. Keep on reading this book, other books, all the books in the world. They transport you into new worlds, so go to those new worlds and explore and travel. Okay? Make a difference. And I hope that you're gonna like this awesome book. Okay? Remember, what do you think is gonna happen to Marvin?